24th to order. First on our agenda tonight is an amended enforcement order for Phoenix Ave LLC, Frank Matthews, violation location of 55 and 89 Phoenix Ave. This is continued from a prior meeting where we ratified the order, and it concerns placing a fill in a bordering vegetated wetland. I believe we've had new materials submitted. And Mr. Garno, are you here to speak or listen?
I think Ms. Thomas probably should hear the comments. I did submit on August 12th.
Would you identify yourself, please?
I'll try. This is Leo Garno. I'm with Northeastern Consulting Forestry, and I'm the wetland scientist on this project. On August 12th, I submitted a copy of the city engineer's topo, which showed that the area is not in a floodplain. And I believe the enforcement order was not for fill in a bordering vegetated wetland, but in a floodplain. And the plan, the city topographic map shows that the area involved was at elevation 128 to 130. The floodplain elevation, according to the FEMA map, shows that area as elevation 126. And the FEMA map was a graphic map. It was not a map that showed topography. And my letter of August 12th asked that the enforcement order be rescinded.
Well, we have several different areas here to explore on this project. We have sent a letter to your client concerning a request for a site visit by the commission, and we've had no response. Are you aware of that letter?
I am, and he's not interested in having anybody from the city of Lowell on his property at this point.
We are also in receipt of information from the Tom Foster of the trucking company that dumped some fill out there. And he is saying that he dropped off one load of approximately 18 yards. We actually have no good idea of how much fill was involved, and we have no idea of if that fill was removed, where it was removed to, and by whom. He says he did not remove the fill.
No, I talked with him on the phone. He said he had not. I think the gentleman's name is Mr. Rayner, who was overseeing the project, and the fill was coming from the Billerica Shawshene Tech parking lot. Where it went after it was removed, I'm not 100% sure, but it was removed, I believe, within 2 or 3 days of the enforcement order being issued.
Now, your letter also refers to an earlier order of conditions that might have allowed filling at this site.
Yes.
But that order of conditions is expired and no longer in effect.
I would
we have
presume
no
so.
certificate of compliance on that project either.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know what the DEP file number was in order to check it out, and I don't even know if it was recorded. I haven't had the time to check that out.
Well, it was so long ago that it obviously is no longer in effect, so you refer to that being an activity that was permitted.
Yes. Yeah.
However, it's not permitted once the order expires.
That's correct. The statute also states there's a 2-year limitation under grant finding. But in advance of today's meeting, I put together additional information which I'd like to give to the commission at this time. And this has references to a 1992 plan by a Robert Smith and a 2002 plan by Kyoko and Cormier, all of them showing the elevations as being above the floodplain.
So
I have those here.
You have plans to distribute?
Yes, if I may.
Are these plans certified plans? Are they
I
stamped?
I gave you portions of the plans. I have copies that I can. The stamp plan from 1992 was stamped. 2 of the exhibits are the city topo, and 1 plan from Kyoko and Cormier, which was existing conditions of the site in 2002.
Which is stamped or not?
That's not stamped. That particular plan shows the wetland boundary as of that time.
Well, we normally don't like to have things submitted at the time of the meeting because we need,
Yeah, I realize that, but I was working up until today on it,
oh, I understand.
and I didn't figure we'd have to have a decision this evening if you wanted time to look at this information.
I would suggest perhaps you submit that to Mr. Thomas here, and he could probably look it over and get it out to us for our next meeting.
Yeah, I've prepared individual copies. There are 7 copies there.
Okay. Okay, I don't think we're prepared to look
That's
over that
understandable,
material at this time, but thank you for submitting it. And if we determine that it doesn't answer our questions, we probably will be needing to have a certified site plan of the site.
Sure, that would be doable.
Okay.
Again, historically, there's an awful lot of data out there from previous filings. In fact, I think I remembered being on the Conservation Commission at one point when a filing for this site was prepared before us, or appeared before us, okay?
Okay, is there anyone else on the board that wants to ask Mr. Garno a question at this point? Yes, Mr. Lovely.
The only question I have, I'm just trying to be clear on what you're contending in your letter, and if I understand it correctly, you're saying that if you look at the topography maps, then the area where the filling took place is not within a resource area governed by the Wetlands Protection Act. Is that what you're arguing?
It's not in the floodplain. It is in the buffer zone.
Okay.
It is in the buffer zone. The site, some of the buildings are in the buffer zone.
So it's within the buffer zone to the resource area?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The new data you have there will also show distances to the bordering vegetated wetland, because that was on the Kyoko and Cormier plan. So at one point, I think it's 88 feet but it varies because it kind of is not a level line. Wetlands never are.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
Thank you.
Now, we do have the issue about, we know who dumped 1 truckload of the fill, and he says he did not take it away. I would like to get some kind of a sense of how much fill there was and who did take it away.
Yes, I spoke to the fellow who was in charge of getting that material there. It was a storage, short-term storage situation, and to my knowledge, he has that information, and I can obtain that for...
Can you submit that in time to get in our packets for the next meeting?
Yeah. Send me an email on it, so as I...
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carno. I think there's also been a request to, let's see,
To remove Mr.
a
Foster.
request to remove the enforcement order. I feel it probably Foster Contracting could be removed from this order, because we have had a reply from him, and we do know what his part in the incident was. However, we're waiting for further information from Mr. Matthews or from Mr. Rayner. Rainier, is it, or?
I'm not sure of the spelling, so I don't want to kill it.
Okay. So I think it would be premature to remove or
That's fine.
lift the enforcement order on Mr. Matthews.
The new information asks the same thing, and I think I've got enough information there that you could make a decision.
Thank you. Could I have anyone make a motion to lift the enforcement order for Foster Contracting?
I'll move to remove Mr. Foster and his company from the enforcement order.
And second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll continue this at our next meeting. We actually have taken care of the second item on our agenda by this recent vote. That was an amended enforcement order for Foster Contracting. That has just been lifted. So we'll be moving on to the next item, which is a notice of intent continued from August 10th. And this is the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility. The project location, 500 Wentworth Ave. It's a drain pipe repair in bordering vegetated wetlands and bordering land subject to flooding.
Hi, my name's
Good
Shannon
evening.
Cohan with City of Lowell Collection Systems. We had to come back for we had to postpone the last one because we didn't have a DEP number. I guess now we do.
Okay. Is there any change since you presented this project
No.
a month ago?
No, none at all.
Now, we have called this a limited project just to fill a problem of a leak in a pipe.
To repair the pipe and to maintain safety at the discharge point, yes.
We do have a concern about the access to this location where the new manhole is going to be installed, the new sewer.
Yes, what's the concern?
Well, should you access it in a way that would disturb more wetland area? It seems that if you had a access point through the nursing home parking lot, you might be able to access it mostly on paved area.
Well, that's why we plan on, when we make that repair, we're gonna actually drop a manhole there. It's in the records that we sent to you last time. And so most likely that will be our maintenance point. So we'll be able to access that straight to the nursing home. We won't have to go into the wetlands at all.
Can your equipment remain on pavement while you're working?
At the nursing home, it's actually packed dirt.
Okay. I think probably some kind of siltation control around that area might be appropriate. And any restriction out of the wetland area would be appropriate as well, as far as not disturbing wetland vegetation to any extent.
We're gonna be in a very small space.
Are there concerns from the commission about this project? Okay. I think we're ready. Are we ready on this one to close the public hearing? Or have we given public input on this?
I'm not certain that we've allowed time for public input on this just yet.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to be heard about this project? It's the project location 500 Wentworth Ave, installation of a drainage pipe. Yes, sir, could you identify yourself?
My name is German Garcia, 527 Wentworth Avenue. What I'm concerned is I live right on a corner. I get flooded all the time. I call him all the time. But my concern is where this rainwater gonna discharge. If it's gonna go to 38, it will create a bigger problem for me or for us on the neighborhood. Or is it gonna be too much to the wetland that the water will come from the wetland to my corner?
Okay.
And you know, my concern is it's bad enough when we allow them to build the extension on a nursing home. They say they were gonna take care of the rainwater and all that. That didn't happen. It's worse now. 2 years ago, fire department had to rescue a couple from my corner.
I know. I think this board's well aware of the problems of that end of
It
Wentworth
comes in my
Ave.
driveway 6 to 8 feet. I lost my garage because of that way back. I had to close it.
I
And
remember
the
that.
city
yeah.
don't seem to work a little bit on my side. Every time the nursing home asks for something, they're open arms.
Okay.
I asked for something and nothing happened. The only one that helps me in, coming down and help me out with the sewer. Because I have 4 feet of water inside my basement at one time. I closed my garage to stop that. So my concern is it gonna get worse for the neighborhood? For me especially.
I think the intent of this pipe is to try to control some of that flooding. Perhaps Mr. Cohen could address that?
We're not gonna be changing anything.
Could you stand near the mic, please?
We're not gonna be changing any of the flow right now. We're not adding anything to it or taking anything away from it. The flow's gonna still go where it always went. We're just making it safe out there, that's it.
Now, I thought I heard at one point that the damage to this pipe was the reason that some of the water was flowing down Wentworth Ave towards Mr. Garcia's home. Would this repair, in fact, help his situation?
No, it won't change the situation whatsoever.
It won't change it at all. No worse.
Definitely no worse.
I know
know,
no
but
worse is
what's-
not what you want to
no
hear,
worse,
Mr. Garcia.
What's the intention? It's been like that for years. Because that been there from the 70s.
Yeah.
So,
So-
it's nothing new.
This is not a
If it was gone-
project that's going to fix your situation,
If it's
but
gonna fix some, somewhat, it's okay. But sometimes I'm trapped on my driveway. I can't even use my car. I cannot use my bathroom, nothing when it gets flooded.
I think a much larger scale
I would love to
investigation.
ask the city to buy my house
Yeah,
so I can move to Florida.
yeah,
I won't have to be here again.
yeah.
But that's my concern.
I think we're well aware of the problem, and we're helpless to fix it at this point. But this pipe is just a repair of something that already exists, and apparently the proponent stated that it's not going to make your situation either better or worse.
I thought that when they opened up the street, they were gonna divert the rainwater and the sewer once they got the street open. Now I hear that they can't touch that street for 8 to 10 years, according to the federal government. They cannot break that. So I'm gonna die in there before they do anything.
Yeah, well,
And my taxes keep going up. They don't lower it down because I got that problem. I'm paying over $3,000 and I got no land.
yeah. Well, this particular project, I'm afraid, isn't going to solve your problems, but thank you for coming and speaking.
Well, thanks to you for giving me the time.
Yeah, anyone else?
I don't have to reintroduce myself, do I have a question. In the notice of intent, I believe there were 2 new drain manholes
Yes.
proposed. Are they still proposed?
Yes.
And where are they located?
One is, actually, I'll show you the plan. One's actually going to be at the repair point, so it'll be a future maintenance
Yep.
area. And the other one is at the discharge, because right now it's just a large hole filled with water, so we're going to make that safe.
Okay, but there's no survey plan as to where this is located. My client obviously owns from Phoenix Avenue to Wentworth Avenue, and his concern was that there's no location of that pipe and where that outlet pipe is, because he has a question as to whether or not it's on his property. And the plans don't show any wetland boundary at all or anything of that nature. How do we know where things are?
All I know is the city has an easement in that area. And we're
Gentlemen,
talking-
just to be clear, please direct your questions through the commission. So you can ask the acting chairman.
Chairman, there's no survey plan of this property showing the location of the pipes. And my client would like to know where those pipes are actually located. Are they in a wetlands or not? And if there are 2 new drain manholes, one of them being at the outlet pipe, that might be on my client's property and not on the nursing home property. And my client has never given an easement to the city of Lowell, and the city of Lowell has never taken an easement.
My understanding is that this is a repair in place, is that correct? That there's not, the pipe is not being moved?
No, the
It's
pipe-
already exists in that location?
Yes.
So a survey would,
Well, the point is to locate the easement. How do we know that they're not going to run a tractor through there? The point is, there is no real easement. There has been no taking. And where is the outlet pipe located physically on the ground? Because what we have here is a pretty drawing showing 2 drain manholes being constructed, and I don't have a problem with any of this. The question is, where are they located in real time?
I think probably the city engineer has that detailed information of where drain pipes are located in the city. Since this was a repair of an existing pipe, I don't believe we requested that information, and I'm not sure if it was submitted with the project.
Well, I can tell you that the pipe was located and was built in place in 1972 by Wheatland Construction. And there's been no survey plan available to show its exact location. And this is a question, is it really in the upland or is it in a wetland? My client's property in that section is all wetland. In fact, the pipe is probably very definitely located in a wetland, a portion of it.
Are you protesting the installation of
I'm
sewer
protesting-
manholes as well?
Yeah, I'm protesting because there isn't a physical location of this pipe anywhere that I can find. I'd be glad to, to look at a plan and advise my client accordingly, but he maintains that that pipe is improperly located on his land.
Do you have any information to that, Mr. Cohen?
The only information I have is from the city Lowell engineer's records. I don't know what further I can
Okay.
offer.
Yeah, and that's what you have, well, what you sent them, does it have the, I'm sorry. Yeah, and the question is, does it show the location of the pipe on the property? The plan that I believe he's referring to that shows the outlet is right on the boundary line. The pipe comes from Rogers Street, and it's right on the boundary line.
So there is a plan showing the location of the pipe then?
It's approximate, because this is not a stamped plan again. This particular plan he has is one that the city adds data to from way back in the WPA days.
Well, I'd say this is probably a situation of something that's been grandfathered in then, if you're going back that far.
Well, I think at the last meeting, Attorney Barton addressed this particular issue as being part of a court case which is ongoing since 1985.
Well, it's my feeling that if there's a broken pipe, it needs repair, and a court case that's been going on since 1985 probably isn't going to be concluded in time for this
Oh,
pipe
no.
repair.
I'm not objecting to the pipe being fixed. I would like to make sure that it's recorded as to where the area is in relationship to a wetland. This doesn't show anything that says there's a wetland there or that they are in a wetland. Is it just in a buffer zone? That's fine. If it's in the wetland, and it's not really shown on a plan because they're not showing a wetland delineation, how do we know the accuracy? I mean, I have faith in this gentleman, but that's not the issue.
I think that we're here tonight to either give permission or not for the repair of this pipe, and these other issues are something that perhaps could be brought up by your client if he's unhappy with the presence of that pipe. That's something between the city and himself.
I understand that, but I'm asking about a wetland delineation showing where the pipe is in relationship to the wetland. That does not exist in this filing.
I'm not sure that we need to know exactly where that is in relation to the wetland, because it's going back right in the same place it is right now.
Fine. That's fine with me. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to express their views on this project, for or against? Yes, madam.
I just had a question.
Identify yourself, please.
Priscilla Hilliard, 526 Wentworth Ave. I just had a question as I was sitting here. A pipe is broken, now it's going to be repaired. What is going to be obtained by repairing it? Where's this water? Where has it been going? Where is it going to go?
Okay, could you explain that, Mr. Cohen?
We will make that area safer. Right now, it's a large sinkhole, but in the nursing home and the condominiums in the back.
Okay, so where does the water go now? It just sits there? And where are you going to, once you repair this pipe, where is this water going to go?
Which water are you talking about? The water that's in the pipe now?
The water that's in the sinkhole.
There is no water in the sinkhole.
Oh, I
now.
thought you, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said that it was in the, there was a sinkhole.
Could you stand closer to the microphone,
Oh,
please?
I thought he said there was a sinkhole and he was gonna make it safer, so I figured there must be a lot of water in this
Well,
sinkhole.
That was at the discharge point.
Okay,
the sinkhole is where the ground collapses due to perhaps underground water.
okay, so there's no water there,
I think this
At the
will
repair point, no.
not at the repair point?
contain the flow of water rather than having it spread underground.
Okay, so that the water is not gonna be redirected anywhere else
I don't believe
from
so.
where it is going now?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I
just,
think it's going to work in the same way that it was intended when this pipe was installed.
okay.
Whether that's perfect for the neighborhood is another debate, but
No, I was just wondering how is it gonna change things? And you had stated it wasn't gonna change things, I think is what you stated previously.
It's not going to change how much
Not
flooding
gonna
you
change the,
get.
right, it's not gonna change the water at all, and it's just a repair, so it's everything, the water's gonna stay the same. I'm just concerned because water comes up my cellars and I have pumps.
I know
So I'm
you're,
just wondering, where is this water? Is it gonna still keep going wherever it's been going in this pipe?
I think it's the same amount of water, and it's not being channeled towards the neighborhood any more than it has been.
Well, these manholes, the new manholes are gonna be installed, will that help at all? Will water collect in these manholes and go out to the sewer or anything?
Could you explain the manhole situation?
The manholes are just gonna be over the existing drain line. No new water is gonna be added into those, and no new water is gonna be discharged anywhere else. It's gonna be the same discharge point.
Okay,
Nothing's gonna change.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would wish to air their views on this project? Anyone from the commission have a question before we? I believe we could close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion made, second.
Second.
Second by Nate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we need to condition this. I think we need to be thinking about controlling siltation into the wetland, and we need to be thinking about restricting movement in that area so that the equipment stays mostly on pavement or it's solid ground. Somebody like to make that motion?
I'd like to move to issue a Lowell Standard Order of Conditions for this project with additional conditions that there be siltation control around the area of the repair, and that whenever possible, you restrict your access to the nursing home parking lot or the packed dirt in the nursing home.
Okay, so that was a Lowell standard order with 2 special conditions. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Next on our agenda is a continued discussion of updating the commission's rules and regulations. We had some added language at our last meeting, and I understand this has been looked over by the city solicitor, and it's now back for a vote. So I think we heard the additional language from the chairman last week. He was just concerned that different entities weren't specifically noted as far as who was involved. And I think we could just probably make a motion to approve that with the additional language suggested by the chairman at the last meeting. The city solicitor has approved the changes, have they?
Actually, one of the assistant city solicitors has reviewed the initial draft before the public meeting on August 10th, excuse me, and approved them, and subsequently reviewed the additional changes by the chairman from that meeting and also approved those. So all amendments to date have been reviewed and approved by the law department.
Okay, thank you. Could we have somebody move to approve the rules and regulations, or does anyone have a comment? If not, ready to move?
Public comment?
No.
Looks like somebody wants to make.
Anyone from the public like to make a comment on this?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Members of the Commission, for the record, my name is Mark Goldman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass., and I wish to be recorded in favor of these amendments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Are there any other comments from the public? Move to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Mr. Mellon, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Moore. All those in favor?
Aye.
Move to adopt the updated amended rules and regulations?
I'll offer a motion to approve the updated commission rules and regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Lovely, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Chalupka. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, next on our agenda is a notice of intent by the City of Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility, project location 61 First Street Boulevard. It's for construction of an underground diversion and control structure in bordering land subject to flooding, the 25-foot riverfront area, and the 100-foot buffer zone to an inland bank of the Merrimack River.
Good evening. My name is Sean Lavoie. I'm an engineer for CDM. This is Isabel Turkin-Katonis, our wetland scientist. What she's passing out are some 11 by 17s of our original project plans. A few changes have been made. They are highlighted in orange.
Yeah.
Get rid of this one. Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility has been before the commission for several CSO-related projects that were under the administrative order of the EPA. This is another project that aims to reduce CSO in the system. This is a continuation of their long-term control plan. This small project provides a cost-effective means of reducing untreated CSOs using the existing Reed Street diversion area site. Basically what this project entails is creating a structure, two structures that will hold back water during wet weather events and hold back as much as 1 million wet weather gallons, resulting in an annual reduction of possibly 20 million gallons per year. Let me see. The structure entails a 96-inch RCP existing interceptor that runs along the Merrimack River. You can see up in the right-hand corner, there's the existing Reed Street diversion structure. This is going to be to the west of it. It entails structure 1 being placed on top of the existing interceptor, diverting flow north towards structure 2. Please refer to sheet C2. Structure 1, as I said, is on the existing interceptor, will divert water north towards structure 2. During dry weather flows, the water will be diverted back towards the interceptor and then continue to the wastewater treatment plant. During wet weather flows, an actuating gate, which is a 96-inch by 96-inch, very large gate, will shut and store water within the interceptor using the existing infrastructure. The site currently is being used as a dog park facility. This construction is anticipated to be during the winter. We do want to keep it open for the users of the dog park, so we've provided temporary parking along the outside of the construction fence so that people can still use it. Having been there out a few times, I have noticed that the existing parking lot, which is pointed out to be used for construction staging and stockpiling, rarely is used, and most of the cars are actually parked along the fence of the dog park. But we still want to provide them a space, so it will be a temporary gravel and filter fabric, after which the project, all the conditions will be restored to pre-construction conditions. To note some of the changes from the previous figures we had submitted, the entrance way, we had extended the turning radius so that construction vehicles can access and exit. At first, we had it as a gravel driveway. The reason we had changed it to a paved driveway is since it's in the winter for better traction. Also, since it's in the winter, we don't have as much concern for dust as we would for, spring or summertime construction using a construction mat. So this way, trucks can more easily access and exit the facility. There is going to be a bypass pumping needed for this portion of the project. If you refer to figure 5, it gives you the extents of the bypass pumping using the existing manholes upstream of the site. And the other manhole is directly on the site below the existing diversion structure. Wet weather flows, since we're doing this during the winter, the wastewater treatment plant is able to divert flows, some of the flows from this site, and to manage the rest of them, we'll have to bypass pump. The route is shown. We've changed it slightly just to aid in the construction of structure 1 over the existing interceptor, pumping it out so that it goes around. This pipe is going to be a 24-inch HDPE, a plastic pipe, which is fused, and it's going to lay on the inland side of the walkway. There's an existing walkway. This walkway will be closed during construction with proper signing and construction fence on either end.
Hi, Isabel Turkintonis with CDM Wetland Scientist. I just want to inform the Commission of what resource areas are associated with the project or located at the project site. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this up and talk at the same time. Top of bank mean high water line was determined in the field using bank full conditions, basically signs of change in slope, change in vegetation, erosion due to high water line and so forth. And that's shown as the blue line on the 11 by 17s and over here. Flags were not placed in the field at the time. There's really not much vegetation at that mean high water determination to post flags, but we can certainly place some flags right before construction, but no work will extend beyond the upper slope of the bank, which is adjacent to the path. And if you look at attachment C includes photographs of the project area starting from the parking lot up here, which is beyond the 100-foot buffer zone line, so that the commission can just, if no one's been at the site, can get a feel for what this site looks like, down to what the walkway looks like. And also the area of vegetation and excavation that will have to be, area of vegetation that will be cleared and excavated for installation of the two structures. Other resource areas,
Could you just point out, when I look at the tree inventory in section 2.1 of the narrative, where on that figure that area is located?
Yep. So on your plans, it's called out as the limit of work area, and it's hatched. It's about a 7,000...
Yeah, a little over 7,000 square.
Little over 7,000 square foot area that will have to be cleared. And this allows, if you flip over, so if you flip between C1 and C2, it shows, pretty much existing conditions with where the actual structures will be located. And that's within the limit of work area. Sorry, the limit of work area should have been shown on C2. Also, to update the commission, easements, permanent and temporary easements are not shown just yet because the city is working on that with the adjacent church property. The church, if you look at the assessor's map, which is in attachment B, the church, it's the Church of the Nazarene, which is located on this site, also owns a narrow strip of land, which is primarily the paved walkway in which the 96-inch interceptor is located beneath. So they own that. So the city is now working on addressing temporary and permanent easements with that. But did that answer your question as far as, okay.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason for asking the question is, just for clarity, reading through the document, obviously, restoration after the fact is gonna be with grasses and wildflowers and things of that nature, because you don't want any deep-rooted species over there. And I'm just curious, because I didn't see any mention in the plan as to whether or not there's a need for replication or replacement of any of the lost tree species within, a buffer zone.
Well, the area is primarily outside of the riverfront area. There's no tree clearing that will occur within the riverfront area. If you look, the green line shows that the riverfront area ends just on the riverward edge of the path. To the north, there will be some clearing of immature trees. This whole area was previously excavated and disturbed for installation of that 96-inch interceptor. This area is located within natural heritage mapped habitat for, the area. I know Merrimack River supports short-nosed sturgeon and bald eagle. Is this prime habitat for bald eagle? Not in our opinion, due to the fact that they prefer white pines for roosting, and they use generally any trees for perching. But because this area is bound by VFW to the north and to the west here, the west is the church property, there's just a lot of variables for noise in the area. It's not ideal bald eagle habitat, let's just say. It was submitted to Natural Heritage. We're waiting for their response. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, there really doesn't need to be a tree planting restoration under the laws, and again, I could understand if it was in the riverfront area, but there's no tree clearing that's necessary in the riverfront area. And also, the area, both upstream and downstream of the construction work area, is heavily dominated by Japanese knotweed. It's shown on the figures, on the attached photographs. So the majority of trees that will be, that are proposed for cutting down range between 4-inch, actually 2-inch box elder to maybe the largest one, was maybe 16 inches, DBH. But the majority of them, if you look at the list, the inventory, they're fairly,
Okay.
young. And as you said, we are not able to plant trees because it will compromise the structural stability of these structures. Majority of work all of the work that will occur within the bordering land subject to flooding, which is the area beneath the 100-year flood line. All contours will be restored to pre-construction grade conditions. Just north of that, it extends up to the 100-year flood, to the 100-foot buffer zone. All of these areas here will either be seeded with grass, loam and seeded, and erosion control blanket, because some of the area is going to be used for construction access. Oh, I didn't realize it was working. And those areas are shown on attachment C. The project area photographs show that the construction access routes, again, the majority is outside Concom jurisdiction, but we've shown that no clearing is required for construction access for the most part. And in fact, where we do come down this slope here to gain access to this downstream end, the area has been previously cleared for previous construction of the 30-inch RCP and 60-inch RCP project. So the site is heavily used. There is a dog park, but the main purpose of the site is the Reed Street CSO diversion structure. The Lowell Regional Utility, as Sean was saying, is sensitive, of course, to the people who use this park on a daily basis. So the plans have been drawn up so that there's temporary parking for those people using the dog park, and access will be continually maintained.
Thank you.
I think that's about it. And like I said, the Natural Heritage are currently doing their review. DEP has issued a file number and posted that the NOI is under review. We did submit a stormwater management report. We submitted a revised version, the one I just handed out, due to the fact that one of the changes we made to the plans since our initial submittal on August 12th, those changes are highlighted in yellow for the Concom to easily see. And again, as Sean said, they're just limited to the construction access, which is outside of Concom jurisdiction, but it's just, it allow vehicles to properly access and avoid any congestion or accidents. And also the remove and replacement of this tree here, shown in orange. And the way the bypass pipe is laid so that it's not directly over structure number 1 as they're installing it. Those are the changes shown in orange for the commission. Natural Heritage has a copy of the NOI, and we're awaiting their response. Oh, and I apologize. I did forget to mention one thing, that the reason why we did submit a revised stormwater management report was that the first time it only addressed the impervious area that was going to be created by the concrete roof of the structure number 2.
Yeah.
The majority of the structure will be below ground, but a concrete slab will be at grade with 2 manholes to access for future maintenance and operation. After we submitted the initial plans, Lowell Regional decided that they would prefer to see the entrance access to that structure number 2 instead of having it just gravel. They would prefer to have it paved. As a result, we've revised our drainage calcs. It's minor impervious area, but we still revised our drainage calcs to address treating, both infiltrating and recharge of any stormwater runoff off of this paved driveway, which won't be used for parking vehicles or anything on a regular basis. It's just going to be used once or twice a year maybe to access this structure. But either way, we've revised the stormwater management report to reflect that new impervious area. That's the reason we handed out another copy.
So
Is
just to
this
be-
all, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so just to be clear, the originally planned concrete slab roof vault is now going to be replaced by asphalt?
Nope, the concrete roof is still going to remain. It's the actual structure, but the entrance, the access driveway to that structure, instead of it being gravel, is now paved.
All right, thank you.
Therefore, we have infiltration trenches around both the concrete roof and the paved driveway to address the stormwater management standards.
Is that the only part of the project that will be visible from above ground when you're done? Is that concrete slab?
Yes, structure number 1, completely below ground. The paved walkway will be restored, repaved. The grass shoulders, grass-covered path shoulders will be seeded, loamed and seeded, and erosion control blanket will be placed. Any erosion controls, which primarily we're proposing silt fence straw waters or silt fence straw bales, whichever the commission prefers, on the down gradient side, will remain in place until the area is fully stabilized, at least 75% vegetative cover on the grass shoulders. And those again extend up and down the construction work area, not just the construction clearing and excavation, but also what we consider the whole project area, just because trucks will be, if you look at this this sheet, trucks will be entering the site through here, accessing the pit area here, and accessing the pit, sewer manhole here, and driving this way. So they'll be hauling off,
What kind of ongoing maintenance is going to be required for this structure?
It's mainly, you can speak to that, Sean, but generally for these structures, just regular maintenance and
Yeah.
operation, it's standard procedure to install manholes for access into these structures, but.
Right, to check on the gate, to, if anything happened to flow into the structure that needed to be pulled, basically to maintain the structure so it's open, for water to flow towards the, treatment plant during dry weather flow. During wet weather flow, we won't have those problems, the gates will be closed. But most likely it will be checked after it is reopened, just to make sure there's no obstructions in the pipe and in the two structures.
So as Sean had indicated, structure number 2, they're installing a sluice gate structure that will back up flows into the interceptor, use the interceptor as temporary storage during wet weather, certain rain events, and then once everything has eased out at the treatment plant, they will open the area and flow will go back south into the interceptor and to the treatment plant. This flow is, again, sewage flow, and the overall intent of the project is to reduce the overall frequency and volume of untreated CSOs into the Merrimack River and the Concord River.
So would this structure be in use with every storm or just severe storms or?
Certain rain events, it depends what's going on downstream at the wastewater treatment facility.
Just a question regarding scale. The report mentions, you have 1 million gallons of storage with the interceptor trench that could lead up to a 20 million gallon reduction in CSO discharges. In aggregate, what are the total CSO discharges in the city of Lowell?
I don't have that number off the top of my
Sorry,
head.
I'm just trying to get a sense of scale of reduction.
There are 9 different CSO locations, and these locations discharge to the Concord River, Merrimack River, Beaver Brook.
Actually, could you repeat the question? Mike, they have a question on.
You were from the-
No, just out of curiosity, the question I was asking is, this project has 1 million gallons in storage in the interceptor trench with the potential of reducing CSO discharges by up to 20 million gallons a year. And I was just curious to get a sense of scale. On an annual basis, what are the number of gallons of CSO discharges does the city typically face in a year?
Could you identify yourself before you speak, please?
My name is Mike Stewart. I'm the engineering manager at the wastewater utility. And we've been involved in some of you probably know, we've been here before for various CSO outfall, actually not CSO outfalls, but drainage outfalls, large drainage outfalls on River Meadow Brook and on the Concord River. And this has been a multi-year project. We've already invested $100 million to mitigate CSOs in the city of Lowell, and we'll probably spend at least another 100 before we're done. This is the last of the existing infrastructure that we're trying to utilize, and it is a storage project. There's 3,000 feet of 96-inch interceptor that runs fairly empty when it rains. The reason is because there's a waterfall. Basically, there's a 7-foot drop in the 96-inch pipe. That's a 6,000-foot run from Beaver Brook down to Reed Street. And it starts to daylight. It's a very shallow pipe. And it starts to daylight, and so they drop that interceptor 7 feet. And right there, where it drops 7 feet on its run to Duck Island, that lower end is surcharged during wet weather, but the upper end from Reed to west, just 3,000 feet, is almost empty. So what we have is a really good opportunity to take advantage of existing infrastructure. And what that means is we don't have to build new. We're still looking at new, and that's why I said we're going to spend another $100 million before we're done, because we do have a lot left to do. Getting to your question, how much a year? We've been trending in the right direction. It varies greatly on rainfall. If you recall, not this spring, which wasn't so bad, but last spring, I'm sure you remember that Rhode Island got literally buried. They got flooded out. We didn't get it quite so bad, but it was pretty bad. And what happens is when the river comes way up, we think it comes into the interceptor system, and it just creates lots and lots of problems for us. Numbers, we've seen them as high as 1,500 million gallons annually. This year, it looks like our best year. Since I've been involved in this project, it's been about 10 years. I think right now we're less than 200 million for the year, and it's almost September. We're through the worst of the wet weather for the most part. Not that we won't get rain in the fall, but I think a typical number to use is probably between 300 million and 500 million, and the goal obviously is zero. So this is, as I said, the last of the utilization, the last of our existing infrastructure. After this, we'll start looking at building new, either storage, more sewer separation, or perhaps wet weather treatment.
All right, thank you.
Any more questions from the commission? Nate? Ian?
I just had a question going back to the parking lot. The existing paved parking lot, you guys are just gonna be using that to stage the construction equipment?
Correct.
And then you're gonna make another parking lot?
No, what it is the existing paved parking lot will be used for construction access, staging equipment, and any stockpiling. If this parking lot is generally supposed to be used by people utilizing the dog park. I've been to the site multiple times, and every time I've been to the site, my car is pretty much the only car in the parking lot. Most dog park users park along the grass area, but obviously Lowell Regional is sensitive to the fact that we are taking up the official parking space of dog park users, so a temporary parking lot will be created for the dog park users beyond our construction.
And that's gonna be the one that you were saying you were gonna do gravel, but now you're gonna pave it?
No. What's actually paved is just so what changed from our initial submittal is, okay, so the structure number 2, the concrete roof associated with structure number 2, we addressed the stormwater managements for that new impervious area. Very minor, very minimal, but they're the standards that have to be addressed as part of submitting an NOI. So we did that. As part of the initial submittal, this driveway for vehicle access to the structure number 2, again, there's manholes, and for future maintenance and operation of this structure, accessing the sluice gate and so forth, was initially gravel. It is now proposed as a paved driveway with infiltration trenches on either side to address infiltration and recharge per the stormwater management standards. That's the only change. All areas out beyond this area here, pretty much the temporary parking for dog park users will be restored upon completion of construction, loamed and seeded, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you.
Nate?
Is there anything you could do to, after doing that restoration, structure it so that the dog park users actually park in the parking lot?
Well, right now, there is a gravel road. It's easily accessible. People don't use it just because it's closer to the dog park, the maintained lawn, the lawn area that they currently use. We did see a few cars, I don't want to say they never use the paved parking lot, but it's just, stressing that utilizing this over the winter really isn't going to be I don't believe, an adverse effect to dog park users. They're still going to be able to access the site, use the existing gravel road as they do now, and park even closer to the site.
We can, I don't even know if I need it.
Yeah. So our goal is to restore the area to pre-construction conditions.
Right, I was thinking whether there might be a way to leave it better.
Again, this part area here is not to point it out, but it is outside the
Right.
work area for the most part. Lowell Regional is addressing appropriate siltation controls and access, just part of good environmental stewardship. But overall, we do have existing infrastructure here as well.
Right.
We don't want to compromise that. There's below-ground pipes, a 30-inch RCP, 60-inch RCP, existing Reed Street diversion structure, 60-inch RCP that leads out to the road. So, you know, from what I understand, the dog park being placed here was a temporary, maybe a temporary issue with the city. I'm not sure, but that's another
Right.
another conversation for another committee, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
I understand your concerns, though.
What I would like to say about that is, just to address what Isabel was referring to, is I think the reason the site was selected for the dog park was because it was a low-cost solution for the city. There was, if you recall, there were tennis courts there once upon a time. That paved area, those were tennis courts. And they weren't used. And so the city just paved it over, made a parking lot, put some parking, you know, painted markings down, and put up a fence. And so it was a convenient site, which has always been in our long-term control plan for our CSO mitigation, still is. And I think eventually you'll probably see us come back to this board with further plans there. But that's down the road. Right now, the big thing is to take advantage of that 3,000 foot of 96-inch pipe. It's you know, because we're using existing infrastructure, it's going to save the city millions of dollars by not having to build new. And as far as the use by the dog park users, you know, we are going to be doing it in the winter when the use is down. And you know, there are things we can do. We can plow. We can plow the access road and the temporary parking. Furthermore, if you want to talk about what we do after construction, you know, we could always pave that entrance road, but of course now we're getting into stormwater runoff issues. We're creating more impervious area. So I think that's probably why, that and the fact that it was a low-cost solution, that was always viewed as a temporary location for the dog park. So just to give you a little background, I hope that helps.
Further questions? Mr. Mellon? You have mentioned yourselves that we haven't heard yet from the and we haven't heard from DEP as far as comments. So I think it would be appropriate to continue this, although first I will ask for any comments from the public. Is there anyone who would like to speak for or against this project?
Madam Chairperson, members of the Lowell Conservation Commission, my name is Mark Goldman, 58 Oakland Street, Lowell, Mass. I wish to record in favor of this project. It's a project that needs to be done, and it will help the city in the combined sewer overflow issues. I urge that when you do make a final decision on this project, that you approve this unanimously with the standard order of conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? So with the agreement of the proponent, we would continue this until our next hearing. Someone make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second by
Second.
Mr. Lovely. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. So the hearing is continued until our next regular meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good night.
Next on our agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance. Robert Clow and Carla Vaccaro, 162 Cashin Street, Lot 4.
I'm sorry, before we move on, can I just clarify who seconded that motion? All right, thank you.
Yes, could you identify yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Michael Larkin. I'm representing the homeowners who bought this problem here. They're third in line of order of conditions that was given to a developer back in 1998, and for whatever reason, it has passed through 3 owners' hands, and now my homeowner has this situation where they need to get this partial release to clear up their title. We had the engineer go out there, do his site plan. We also did a site walk visit with the board as well. And I think there's some things we know that we have to do to get this partial release. I believe the order conditions was for 2 lots, lot 3 and lot 4. My party's property is actually lot 4, so we're actually just looking for a partial release for lot number 4.
We had a site visit on the site with some of the commissioners, and others have gone out on their own. We did find, according to the engineer, Mr. Sullivan, he has listed some things that deviate somewhat from the plan that was originally submitted in 1999. Perhaps some of these things are going to need to be corrected before the certificate can be issued. Going through them one by one, there does appear to be a shed that's straddling a property line.
Yes, it's the way when you look at the site to that left there, does look like there's a tree area with another fence. I think this is just an oversight from the homeowners believing that their property actually goes to this fenced area. Actually, it doesn't. It goes 15 feet closer to their house, and I think that's why the fence was put there. But it's the garage is movable. It's not a permanent structure, so I believe that should not be an issue.
Okay. The sewer was connected to a different location than originally proposed, but I don't see that as a problem as long as it's working properly.
Yeah.
There is an issue of the driveway, which is actually an extension of Cashin Street, being slightly off as far as the property line is concerned.
Yeah, I think when we did the site visit, when you look at it, Cashin Street's a much wider street. This is pretty much a driveway. It's not accepted by the town, so the homeowners do take care of it. They maintain it, they plow it, so it's not a city obligation. I think what happened here is when they installed this electrical pole, I think the person who came in put the road in, believing the electrical pole was in the correct position, put the road slightly to the right of that, and I think that's what kind of created the situation. But I think as we saw on the site visit, they still do the rocks on the side to minimize the flow from the site to the adjacent property. So I think they still did what they needed to do, just unfortunately put a small section that in the curve that actually moved onto the other person's property.
I think probably the most important issue here is the stabilization. The engineer has stated he feels it's fully stabilized. However, I'd like to hear from some of the commission about the erosion down the banks to the west and to the south. I felt there was some erosion occurring there, and it is a sandy soil there, so it does take some effort to try to keep that from moving. Perhaps some kind of a silt fabric or some kind of vegetation needs to be planted along those slopes, especially considering how steep they are.
It's recommended to put on the slopes or just before the slope, is that the vegetation On the slopes or just before the slope? Is that what you're saying? Just trying
well-
to clarify.
I think just
Go ahead,
when we
Miss.
were there, the chairman noted that a lot of the grass had washed away
Correct, yeah.
on the house side of the driveway.
Correct, yeah.
So maybe some kind of shrubbery or planting on both sides of the driveway would help, because the riprap doesn't go all the way up to the front of the house, right? It kind of like
Yeah, I
stops.
think that makes sense. It makes sense to put some sort of shrubbery there too. And I don't know what, if the board recommends, what kind of plantings would be best there, if that's something that the board can recommend. But I think it makes sense because you can see there is partial erosion in that location. So I think shrubbery would make sense, and I don't believe that would be a problem for the homeowner to do that.
Yeah. I think probably that slope does need some kind of stabilization while you're waiting for the shrubbery to grow and perhaps the roots to take hold. I don't know whether there's some kind of fabric or whether there's some, maybe some loaming and seeding or something, but there is, along the first section of stockade fence, there's quite a bit of erosion, and then off the corner of the driveway, there's
Yeah,
quite a
definitely.
lot of erosion.
Like a partial silt fence, just, staked into the ground and in that location. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, there was a silt fence there. That's not something that we want permanently,
Yep.
and not as a permanent, Mr. Thomas?
There's one item that is fairly low maintenance for the homeowner that is also fairly easily accessible, which is jute netting, something we've discussed at this meeting before. It's a sort of like a burlap twine that can be laid down the slope and permanently in place. It will degrade over time, but again, in combination with shrubbery, it will help to stabilize the bank and actually allow plants and vegetation to take hold, which will then, as that degrades, hold the slope together, as one possibility. Again, silt fences we've talked about is typically not the best option, as it doesn't in fact degrade.
Yeah, I think that's a real good point. I think that might work if that works for the board to do what Mr. Thomas said. Because you said if it does degrade over time, by the time the plants have taken into the ground, that burlap is now, eroded away. So we get exactly what we want. And I think that makes sense.
One of your problems out there is that it is so sandy. There's very little topsoil on that slope.
Correct.
Would you like to come back with a proposal for that stabilization?
I'm fine with what Mr. Thomas recommended. That makes sense to me.
Jute netting and some kind of shrub or low-growing ground cover that will remain in place better than grass would.
What I can do is I can follow up with Mr. Thomas and talk about what specific plants would be recommended, would be the best ones to do that.
So I guess the issues here then are the shed. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but I didn't feel the driveway location or the riprap was a problem along the driveway. Let's just get some comments from Mr. Mellon.
When I was out there at the site visit, it was obvious to me that the driveway was put in to avoid that electrical pole that the utility company put in. And the encroachment is minimal. It's only as it goes by the pole. And I don't think it's going to affect anything. And you'll never get the utility company to move that single pole.
No.
So I think we're barking up the wrong tree if we want to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Moore? Mr. Lipka?
I agree with the encroachment thing. I think that if the people who if the Mahoney property owners don't mind the shed being a couple inches into their property, then I don't see the point of moving it onto the other side of the house, but it's, I mean, it's just on like a brick, right? So it could
Exactly.
be moved
And
if they mind.
you saw yourself, there's 15 feet of trees there, so I don't even think the next door neighbors
Yeah.
even realize it's.
They have a
and
fence
yeah.
on the other side of the trees, so, like, they have
Exactly.
a fence a couple feet into their own property.
I think the homeowners will talk to the next door neighbors about that, you know, whether they need to move it or what. I think the neighbors can come to an agreement about that issue.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to me that, that moving the shed to the other side of the house would really have any positive effect. I don't know. That's it.
I have no comments.
All right, so there's additional work to be done. We can't issue the certificate tonight, but if you want to contact Mr. Thomas, if you have any questions about the remedy for the erosion that we've been discussing. And as soon as you're ready, come back and we'll take a look and see if the problem has been solved.
So, kind of my plan of action is to, you know, follow up Mr. Thomas, put that into place, the shrubs, the burlap, and then maybe do a site visit and then do a meeting after that. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay.
You can, when you're ready to be put on the agenda, you'll be getting in touch with Mr. Thomas, and he'll put you back on the agenda.
So the only outstanding issues would be just that erosion in that location there, and everything else will be okay.
Just to eliminate some of that erosion, which you could start losing trees down that slope if it continues.
That makes
There is a
sense.
fairly large oak tree right there that
Right on
is
the
being
edge.
undermined already.
Yeah.
So I think it's an easy solution, and
Thank you.
the certificate looks like it would be able to be forthcoming once that erosion problem is dealt with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the board.
Next on our agenda is a request for determination of applicability. Richard Lemoyne, University of Mass Lowell.
So just a point of order, do we have to do, like, do a motion to continue or something, or no?
Oh, yeah.
Well, first,
Just
okay, continue with at your request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody want to make that motion?
Move to continue to the next, or move to continue at the request of the applicant.
Okay, motion made, seconded by Mr. Moore. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now our next is a request for determination by the University of Massachusetts Lowell, 300 Pawtucket Boulevard, which is the UMass Lowell Boathouse. They're interested in installing a prefabricated shed.
Yes, good evening, Commission. May I approach just to give a piece of information?
Sure, can you identify yourself too?
Yes, good evening. My name is Rich Lemoyne, Director of Environmental and Emergency Management at UMass Lowell. And we, at the Boathouse, support rowing teams. And come to find out, the largest program we have happens to be the City of Lowell High School rowing team. And they have many oars. And we need a place to put their oars. And we'd like to purchase this prefabricated shed and be placed upon the property adjacent to the building so we could store the oars during the off-season and during the season. The information that I have just provided you was I reached out to the manufacturer just to make sure that what we were asking for from the commission was in fact what the manufacturer recommended, along with doing the right thing, making sure we understood everything. On the second page is actually the showing of where the sonotubes are located. Other than putting this prefabricated shed on just a non-supportive and non-structure like on cinder blocks, we really want to secure it down because of the winds that come down the river and so forth. The recommendations from the manufacturer, in fact, is 12 sonotubes at 10-inch in diameter and placed upon where it's shown on page 2. And so the approach would be is to have a bobcat with a 12-inch auger just come in and go down 4 feet and place these 10-inch sonotubes, fill them with the concrete, have a silt filtration fence to protect any area around and immediately remove any soil. And no construction other than the installation of the sonotubes will be done on site. The shed is prefabricated. It would be delivered, placed, and secured on the sonotubes when the cement is cured.
Your original submittal spoke of 8 sonotubes.
Yeah, and with the information that I have on this page 2, I need to ask for consideration for the 12 sonotubes at the 10-inch in diameter. If we need to maintain 8, we structurally can add some members and beef it up and do as how we submitted. But we'd like to do it as the manufacturer recommends, if possible.
Well, I appreciate the additional information because we had very little submitted the first time around. However, what we still don't have is an actual location of where this structure is going to be. I know you've mentioned it's inside the fence that you already have, inside a chain link fence, but we don't have a plot plan submitted here.
We just had it illustrated in the corner. Maybe it didn't show up as the highlighted area on the copies. The copy that was submitted showed a highlighted area in the corner where it would be placed within the fence, closest to the road, away from the riverfront. I'd be glad to approach and show that area.
Well, I can see that here, but it's a very tiny plan. I don't know what you submitted, but what we got was very, very tiny, and it doesn't actually have the dimensions or anything else as far as the size of this structure.
Sure. If we need to get a certified plot plan, we'd be glad to do it. It is a 12 by 16 shed as the supplemental information's been provided.
Now, not knowing exactly where it was going, I'm not sure, is this a paved area where you're putting this, or is this grassed?
It's actually a grass area. There is a walkway along the exterior of the fence where pedestrians typically walk to go in front of the boathouse.
Oh, it's on the outside of your fence?
No, it would be on the inside, protected, but it's on a grass area.
And I see, where it's marked off here, it's quite close to the 25-foot riverfront area. Would it extend into?
On that dotted line, it would not be within that 25.
It would not be within,
no,
okay.
It's exterior. It's at the most furthest point of the protected area with the fence that we can place it.
And is that technically floodplain there? I didn't look at the GIS to see if it is officially.
There was a dotted line showing, I don't have that
That's
paper.
the riverfront setback. Do you happen to know?
Mr.
Craig, if
Thomas,
that's-
do you have that submittal, that larger one that I had provided?
I do have the larger submittal. I can provide that. My review indicated that that area is in the 100-year floodplain.
Thank you. May I approach and show you the larger one? It might be, I know it was reduced for you, unfortunately.
I'm not sure. Is that larger than this?
Yes.
I think this is the same. I think you can, it's just in color, which, yeah, thank you. Well, I think the issue here is the floodplain, and also the fact that we really require better plans than this in order, just for the files. Even if you took us out there and pasted off and said, this is where it's going to go, for our files, we really need better information as far as exactly where the structure's going to be, rather than just a colored area. Something a little larger. I didn't even realize that was the 25-foot riverfront area. I'm glad you brought that up. I really can't read any of the printing on this plan.
Our apologies then, we'll be glad to get a proper plan.
Okay.
It would also be good to know how high up this structure is going to be set off the ground, what sort of storage is going to be lost to the sonar tubes.
Do you mean the space from earth to the underneath?
Yes. And how it would be attached to the tubes? And
The attachments provided
is that described?
within, yes, it's page 4, or it's on. It showed on your
the 7-inch anchor bolts.
page, last page of page 5, is a section showing how it would be secured.
So how far off the ground it is depends on, like, the grade at that particular area?
We would not have this larger than 6 inches off the ground, just for the convenience of a step to go into the shed. So it'd be consistent with that.
I think you've submitted quite a lot of material here that we really can't digest tonight, and we do need a better plan. I think a concern here is that what you're proposing is actually fill in the floodplain. As far as the sonar tubes, it isn't already a paved area. That means that this is additional impervious material that's being introduced into a floodplain area. That normally requires some form of compensation, if not right at that particular location, within the same reach of the river. As far as every foot that you place in the floodplain, you have to compensate for it somewhere else. I don't know if anything in your packet here that you've submitted tonight speaks to compensation for lost floodplain space or not.
No, there is nothing that references that.
Are you the engineer for the project?
No, I'm the representative from the university and would be the project manager to have it installed.
So do you have an engineer that's made this all up for you, or?
No, I provided it as part of the function and responsibilities of my position.
Because the engineer would normally be familiar with the floodplain regulations and be able to advise you as to how this structure could be built with regard to those regulations.
Yeah, understood. We were hopeful that it wasn't considered significant with the sonotubes, and that there would be not a need for determination to spend the money to get the engineering done. So we will move forward and do it correctly and get back onto your agenda.
Okay. Does anyone from the commission have any comments or concerns? Are we in agreement for better plans? About what? Additional plans?
Right.
So we would, let's see. Oh, this is just an RDA, so I think we could probably address that tonight. unless we want to wait until we get further plans. What's your pleasure? Craig, is this normally determined before we get the complete packet of information, or should we wait on this?
In regards to issuing a final determination for the RDA?
Should we wait until we get further information on this before we determine it? Or if it appears to be applicable tonight, even though we don't have all of the information, we could determine it tonight, which is the...
Well, there are, I suppose, two ways to look at it. One would be the request for additional plans would help to confirm the locations of the resource areas and whether or not the Wetlands Protection Act and city ordinance were applicable. The other option would be if the commission had found that either the state or local regulations were applicable, to make a positive determination and have plans submitted potentially as part of a notice of intent.
Okay, so I think it's probably to your advantage, Mr. Lemoyne, to submit as much information as you can as of the form that we're used to receiving, and then perhaps it would be considered insignificant. Okay. But at this point, without seeing the location and how far it is from the riverfront area and many other things, we're unable to deal with it tonight anyway. So I think we probably best leave that determination for another night. And if you have information you can submit between now and our next meeting, then we can continue this until our next meeting or until you are ready.
Very good. I appreciate your time, and I clearly understand where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So motion to continue on this.
Move to continue.
Seconded by
I'll second it.
Mr. Lovely. All those in favor?
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Down to other business, which includes an update on 678, 679, our Trinity, I believe. 110 Canal Street. This was an order of conditions that we signed at our last meeting. And there was a concern by DEP about the stormwater management, but apparently they had not received some of the information that this commission received regarding stormwater. And I believe they've, at this point now, received it. Is that correct, Mr. Thomas?
They will receive it most likely tomorrow or the next day. I sent it out very late today to their attention.
So in order to help allay their concerns, the team has suggested that another condition be included in the order of conditions for the 110 Canal Street project. We just received this notice tonight. Did everyone get one? And the extra condition would read that the final design of the green roof shall be submitted to the commission and copied to DEP for review and approval prior to the installation of the green roof. Additionally, a revised O&M outlining maintenance of the green roof shall be submitted to the commission and copied to the DEP for approval prior to installation of the green roof. So the runoff from the green roof was apparently one of the concerns of the stormwater management portion of the project. And this condition would take care of that part of the project. the submission of the materials that we had concerning stormwater management to DEP will hopefully allay the concerns of DEP regarding stormwater management. So, does anyone have a comment on this particular suggestion?
I have no problem including his recommended condition. I think it would be good.
Is that a motion that we include this condition? So a motion to amend the order of conditions issued last time for 206-679 to include this extra condition. Made by Mr. Mellon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lupka. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So this condition will be included. Let's see. I think that's all we need to do at this point until DEP receives the materials that they've been sent. And we'll have to wait and see if that satisfies their concerns. I've now lost my agenda. Information on the commission. Does this bring us to a close of the regular meeting, Mr. Thomas?
There are two items. One is an additional letter that was in your packets this week. The second item, as listed on the agenda, is not ready at this time. Will be included for a future meeting.
Okay, you're referring to the letter from Specialty Materials? All right, we do have a letter from Specialty Materials of Middlesex Street, Stephen Piliaglos, the plant manager, and they have purchased property next door at 1499 Middlesex Street and plan to use it for storage. The property is presently being used by a rental business, and it seems that they basically are asking for requests for determination of applicability. However, it's not on our regular form. I think probably some of you had a chance to look at the site. There is concern about fill that has been brought in over the years, and we really don't have a complete idea of what their plans include here, except for what they said in the letter. So I think it would be appropriate for them to submit a request for determination and come and speak to us about their plans. Anyone else have a comment on this?
I just have, this is next to the U Plaza, right?
Yes.
This is the,
It's
so
the
the
business
rental.
to the east of U Plaza.
They, the rental place is gone, and
They're not gone yet, but they will be gone.
yeah. Well, I agree with what you said. I think that, it's a little vague that they want to change it into something of a green area. I'd like more information.
And they are planning, they do say they're planning to regrade, so that kind of raises a red flag, because there is definitely material there that has been brought in, and some maybe fairly recently, this crushed stone that obviously isn't original material. So I guess maybe a motion to send them a letter saying that a RDA would be appropriate. somebody like to make that motion?
Do they need to just file a notice of intent?
Do they?
Since they've already started clearing and stuff?
I'm not sure if they have started clearing or if it's the rental man that has started removing his junk. The rental company has not vacated the premises yet.
I would like to move that,
Or maybe just move that
That
a
a
filing is
letter-
appropriate of some sort.
yeah, that Specialty Materials Business Trust be informed by the commission that an RDA is necessary.
Do you have a second on that?
Second.
Mr. Mellon, discussion? Okay, all in favor? So moved. And that appears to be the end of our agenda. Is there anything else, Mr. Thomas?
No, not at this time.
Okay, that concludes the Conservation Commission meeting for this evening.
Actually, I have one question.
Oh.
Given, I just was driving by the bridge work over by University there. Given that the Mass Highway said that they were interested in cooperating with us, could we get a site visit or something just to sort of see what's going on? It's a huge amount of work in the riverway.
Yes,
The bridge work over the university.
The new bridge over
The
new bridge.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
made 2 access roads down to the riverbank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have any authority over that, but he should be able to tell us.
I can't remember if I've updated the commission on this project yet or not. I was invited to an initial site visit on behalf of the commission before any of the work began approximately 2 months ago. At that time, I had indicated that perhaps the commission should be more involved. Mass Highway, I may misspeak, it was either Mass Highway or Mass DOT, excuse me, who's managing the project, indicated at that time that they were interested in working more closely with the commission, perhaps through the submission of a SWIP, which is a stormwater pollution prevention plan, as a part of another permit that's required. I had indicated the possibility to come in here to give a general update, excuse me, or to file perhaps something this as a for notification purposes, or again to look for ways that the commission could be involved. They had indicated to me that none of those were of interest to them, but that they did want involvement. So perhaps a site visit would be appropriate. As we've discussed here before, Mass Highway and Mass DOT are not fully exempt for are not generally exempt for projects, as has been unclear at some points in the past. However, for any project that receives certain types of federal highway money, they are exempted. And again, this is one of those projects, as are many, which is part of the reason for a sort of selective exemption for Mass Highway and Mass DOT projects. So I can communicate, if it's the wish of the commission, a desire for a site visit to the north side of the river where work is currently taking place.
Craig, one thing to, as part of your inquiry that you may want to check on is they may not be required to follow what's called administrative requirements, but they may need to follow substantive requirements, which would mean, things like a courtesy visit to the, in front of the commission. They wouldn't have to go through any so-called permitting requirements, but any substantive requirements, would typically need to be met in circumstances like this I've seen in the past. Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
This brings the commission meeting to a close. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.